The war between Israel, Iran, and the United States is no longer just a military confrontation in the Middle East. It is rapidly turning into something much bigger. Because when war erupts in the region that powers the world's energy supply, the shockwaves travel far beyond the battlefield. Oil prices are surging, stock markets are beginning to wobble, and economists are now warning that if this conflict continues, it could trigger a new global economic crisis. At the center of this storm is one narrow waterway that most people have never heard of, but the global economy cannot function without. The Strait of Hormuz is a narrow channel between Iran and Oman, but despite its small size, it is one of the most important energy routes on the planet. Every single day, around 20 million barrels of oil pass through this passage, roughly 1/5 of the world's total oil consumption. That means if this route is disrupted, the impact is felt instantly across global markets. Right now, because of the war, shipping through this corridor has been severely disrupted. Tankers are delaying voyages, insurance costs are skyrocketing, and traders across the world are preparing for the worst. Energy experts say what we are seeing today may be unlike any oil disruption before.
It's never happened before. Why is 20 million barrels a day important? Because it's 1/5 of everything that the whole planet uses. So we use about 100 million barrels per day. 20 million barrels per day is 20% of that. And so it's a huge blow to trying to control prices. Prices are naturally going to have to move higher in response to shorter supply.
And the crisis is not limited to oil. The same region also exports enormous quantities of natural gas, the fuel that powers electricity grids and heating systems across the world. Countries like Qatar are among the world's biggest LNG exporters, which means any disruption here could trigger a second energy crisis, right alongside the oil shock. Energy traders are already watching supply levels with growing concern, because if these shipments remain disrupted, shortages could ripple through global energy markets.
This is also really important for natural gas because Qatar, one of the countries in the Gulf, is responsible for exporting 10 billion cubic feet per day of liquefied natural gas. And that's, again, 20% of that market. So when you have these huge holes in supply that we're going to have to dig out of whenever this war ends, and we have safe passage of these export cargoes, you're starting to just see traders really concerned about that supply deficit.
When oil prices surge, the impact spreads quickly through the entire economy. Fuel becomes more expensive, transportation costs rise, airfares increase, and businesses everywhere start paying more to operate. Already, analysts say oil prices could climb toward $120 per barrel if tensions continue in the Middle East. At the same time, investors are beginning to worry about global financial markets. Major banks warn that prolonged instability could trigger sharp stock market declines and weaken economic growth worldwide. And that's when the crisis begins to hit ordinary households. Because when markets fall and energy prices rise at the same time, consumer confidence begins to collapse.
We're also going to see higher prices in things like airfares. So travel will become more expensive. And then we also have to worry about the second order effects on things like the equity markets. So if people's stock portfolios are going down, their 401ks are less valuable than before, we're going to lose consumer confidence and maybe even business spending. That points us in the direction toward a possible recession.
Right now, the entire energy system around the Persian Gulf is operating under extreme stress. Oil tankers are avoiding key routes. Energy infrastructure across the region is under threat, and global markets are watching every development in this conflict. Even if the current phase of the war ends, the damage to global confidence may already be done. Because once investors start believing that a region responsible for 20% of the world's oil supply is unstable, markets begin pricing in that risk for years. which means the real economic shock of this war may only just be beginning.
The whole system is becoming a little bit paralyzed, but especially in the Middle East Gulf. So until that lifts, until those tanker movements restore kind of normal operations, we're going to see things like gasoline prices elevated. And I'm afraid that $4 a gallon might only be the first stop, because even if the current war in this phase draws to an end, we now have a new chapter of geopolitical instability in that really important region of the world for oil and gas supplies. I think it's going to be with us for quite a while, conceivably even through the rest of the term of President Trump's term.